Raju sir, shall we start? Because now almost 40 participants, I think, joined already.
Yes, sir, we can start, sir.
Yeah, we can start, I think. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Respected eminent speaker, Mr. Shabir Lokanwala ji, Director SLABS Private Limited, faculty members, participants, very good morning. On behalf of Department of Civil Engineering, I welcome you all for the webinar series of ninth lecture among the 16 lecture series titled Industry Institute Interaction and Training. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome our today's expert, Mr. Shabir Lokhandwala ji, and fellow faculty members and dear participants. Now I would like to introduce you our today's expert, Mr. Shabir ji. Shabir ji, having more than 10 years of experience in various projects from India as well as foreign country, and he has pursued his BTech from Pune University, and he has pursued a Master of Technology, Structural Engineering divisions from IIT Roorkee, and also he is a recipient of Gold Medal in IIT Roorkee. And he is a graduate member iStruct E UK and member ACI, and also PMC licensed structural engineer Pune. He has received many awards during his educations. I would like to highlight the major achievements with a brief in his career. As Sabir ji is a professional structural engineer having a vast experience in design of high-rise comprising hotel, mixed-use developments, residential buildings, etc. And I would like to highlight the projects. The first one, Kuwait Investment Authority, Kuwait, is office tower comprising of 47 story podium of 11,000 meter square area. And Al Reem Hotel Tower, Abu Dhabi, UAE, is also a hotel building of 35 story. And next is Nation Towers, Abu Dhabi, UAE, is a commercial tower comprising of 52 story. And Baraya Center, Doha, Qatar, is a mixed use high-rise buildings and podiums. And Kuwait Business Towers, Kuwait, office tower comprising of 40 story. And Bara Financial Center, Qatar, it's a mixed use high-rise building and podiums. And United Towers, Kuwait, mixed use tower comprising of 16 story and 265 meter tall. Seawoods, Mumbai, India, mixed use tower and extended podium. It's an area of 5 million square feet. And Mail, Mumbai, India, landmark building, Mumbai International Airport. Has performed a peer review of its entire cladding and facade covering on area of 4 lakhs square meter. And HSBC Sri Lanka, historical 120-year-old buildings located at the city center, and he has reviewed 120 years of old buildings. Commune 1, Bangalore, India, it's a precast 5 residential towers of 15-story extended podium. And Tata Reina, Bangalore, India, Tata Pinia, Bangalore, India, precast residential towers of 15 story, the area of 3 million square feet. And Gulf country, Noida, India, it's a precast residential tower of 23 story, extended podium. And Brookwoods, Bangalore, India, residential towers of 15 story, area of 1 million square feet. And Raipur Shopping Mall, Chhattisgarh, and covers 3 lakh square feet mixed use development hotel and mall. And last one is Hyatt Residency, Pune, Maharashtra. It covers 12,000 square feet design and retrofitting buildings. With this brief, I request Mr. Sabir ji, please start your lecture.
I would like to thank Professor Senthil for such a good introduction, and thank you so much for inviting me. I am glad to reach out to a larger academic audience and share our knowledge in the construction industry so far. So today I would be presenting you a DFMA approach, which is certainly going to be a new normal in construction. Now, what do you mean by DFMA? DFMA is a new approach wherein the entire construction we are trying to drastically move in the factory environment. So, before taking you forward in this presentation, just a quick example I would like to define. You might have noticed automobile industry. So just imagine in 19th century, during the early days of automobile sector, every car was independently designed, manufactured and delivered to the customer. Nowadays, the entire automobile industry has come into the factory environment. Now car manufacturers are designing the car as a product, and then the customer doesn't have to go to the mechanical engineer to get the car. He just goes to the distributor center, uh, looks at the car, the specifications of the car, pays the money and buys the car. So entire production of the car has shifted in the factory. And the same approach, we civil engineers have to start looking at our products like buildings, residential buildings, hospital buildings, commercial buildings, etc., as a product which is going to be manufactured largely in the factory environment, in a quality control environment, and then these are going to be delivered to the customers at large. Because today we are lagging, or our schedule is way behind in some of the largest nations across the world, and that is the reason gradually in India also people have shifted towards off-site construction. So DFMA stands for Design for Manufacture and Assembly. So keeping in mind that most of the buildings would be factory made, and these would be assembled at the site, keeping those parameters in mind, a designer has to evolve his design, right from the architectural design, MEP design, structural design, and so on. Moving forward, the entire construction, this is a survey which was conducted by McKinsey. So every nation on an average, 13% of global GDP is contributed by construction activities. Okay, so let's say in 2018, 11.5 was the contribution of the gross GDP, and today when we stand at 2020, 12.5. Probably during this COVID times, this average would come out to be little lower side, but gradually if you see, the construction industry is bound to grow. Now if you notice in the construction domain, on an average only 20% of the customers are satisfied, largely because of delays in the project, quality issues and so on. The customer satisfaction is very low in construction industry. Now if you notice, this is the survey which was carried out. Largely the involvement of the companies were from the contracting side, design and engineering, procurement side, and component manufacturing, people who are supplying the equipments and so on. Now over the course of presentation, I'll be taking you through the several aspects. So try to understand what is the market, what are the industry dynamics, and what is the outcome. So let's say customer demand. Customer is really wanting to get a quality product on time. Okay, but he, in spite of sharing a huge risk, is unable to get satisfaction. Now construction inputs and characteristics. The complex nature of construction and logistics, high share of manual work on site, and low barriers of entry. So right now, largely the work is done at the site, and due to shortage of skilled laborers, environmental impact, high share of manual work and blue collar in the workforce, and high volume per weight or complex logistics involved. So understand that a product that we are building, such as a commercial or residential building, apart from structure which is built in concrete, lot of other products are involved like doors, windows, plumbing, electrical items, and interiors, and so on. It's a very complex nature of construction wherein lot of amount of supply chain is involved, and market rules and regulations. So extensive and local regulations play a very important role. Yeah. Now, industry dynamics. See, every project is designed from scratch. A project-based building approach is right now being taken, but whereas it should be a product-based approach. Now the ecosystem is highly fragmented. Let's say to do a project, we have to collaborate with n number of agencies, misaligned contractual structures and incentives. Let's say the developer who is building the entire uh, project gets the most amount of profits, whereas the entire supply chain below is crushed like anything. So the commercial incentives are not distributed over the entire supply chain. And then use of contractors or temporary staff with limited long-term investment. That means whatever employment currently construction industry is generating, 50% of it is only temporary or project based. So the entire team who is involved in building this project is not a permanent employee of a certain organization. Okay. What is the outcome of such kind of a functioning of construction industry? Lagging productivity and growth, slow innovation and digitalization, low profits and high risk despite strong and stable growth, low customer satisfaction and regular time and budget overruns. So this is the current scenario, and during the end of the presentation you will have an outlook or perspective how this industry is evolving and is going to change. So the survey was conducted wherein 400 different CEOs across different classes, geographies, value chains were invited, and most of them were certain that they required a change in the construction industry setup and current ways of working. So majority of the people accepted that the way construction is happening in today's time is highly inefficient. If you notice the regime of computer industry, it is drastically changing every day. The regime of softwares, the regime of technology and its innovation in medical sector and so on is changing day by day. But the way construction industry has evolved, the innovation has hardly taken place over the last 50 years. So on the major points, the survey was conducted. Skilled labor is becoming increasingly scarce. That is very true. Then focus on cost, notably due to infrastructure and affordable housing gaps. Then safety at the site are becoming very strict day by day. Customers are valuing digitally enabled smart buildings because it is energy efficient, operational efficiency is there, and over the period of time, the long-term maintenance cost is very less. Day by day, higher emphasis from customers on sustainability in the industry today has increased. Increasing share of larger and smarter investors entering construction today. If you notice, Amazon has invested in a modular construction. Google has taken several ventures who are doing innovations in the construction industry today. If you notice, SoftBank, who is one of the major renowned investment banking company today, has invested in construction based companies and technologies. So when do you think the changes in the market will impact at scale? Probably in the next 10 years or 1 decade, you will see high amount of change in the construction industry. Industry leaders expect disruption to occur. That means new production technology, digitization of products, new materials which we need to work on, and then remaining other points for sales and marketing and so on. So as a civil engineer, we need to really evolve ourselves in academics, in R&D, and think how we can build a sustainable product for our users. For us, the product is a building, whether it's a hospital building, a residential building, a villa project, or project of any kind, such as a dam, infrastructure buildings such as bridges, roads, and so on. Now, this is the current ecosystem of the construction industry. See, for example, let's say in your own campus, if one building is supposed to be built, the designs for that building will be done, and particularly only for that building, the machineries and equipments will be procured. Then let's say some of the materials would be taken on rental basis, then construction will take place, and that particular building will be constructed. But even in the same campus, if there are two major buildings, the second building is given to some other contractor. So his way of working will be going on simultaneously in a own independent way. This is an entirely inefficient way of construction. Every project is moving in an independent fashion. So much of repetition is going on, and so much of resources are kept unused in a highly commercially inefficient way. So as I mentioned, each project is designed from the scratch. Then this is a highly project based, unique customer specifications are there in this kind of an approach. From this particular approach, then let's say materials are procured, logistics takes place, and then the construction is happening at the site. In this particular site also, lot of contractors are involved. RCC contractor is separate, electrical plumbing contractor is separate, interiors contractor is separate. Then we have a project management consultancy firm involved, structural engineering, architectural, MEP, design consultancy firms are involved. So the client has to multiply manage several amount of agencies, and this is a highly unoptimized kind of a project wherein proper and professional documentation doesn't happen. For example, let's say after 5 years of time, if you are building a project of 15 lakh square feet, after 5 years, for example, if you want to find out or if you want to repair a particular switch socket or the wiring which is damaged by short circuiting, for example, and if you don't have the drawings, then it takes huge amount of time for that particular electrician to repair the work. So this is just an example. You might have any circumstances. So for a project of this scale, where this is a project based approach, without a professional documentation, even the maintenance of the building would be a challenge after a few years. Now, this is what the future looks like. Let's say you have multiple projects. These multiple projects, if they are built in the factory, So this is how the factory environment looks like. Just imagine. You have all the machineries within the same factory. Within the same factory, your project 1, 2, 3, 4 will be manufactured. So you are also designing these multiple projects as a component. So for example, let's say if I want to make a column of 500 by 500 size, I have to ensure that these column sizes will be reused for multiple projects. And when I purchase materials for multiple projects in bulk quantity, I'll buy it at a cheaper rate. The design engineers will be a single team who are designing these multiple projects because they will be developing these projects like a product. These buildings are then manufactured in the factory. From the single factory, these are dispatched at multiple locations. Okay, so all the drawings, documentation, everything will happen at the factory. So delayering and consolidation within steps of the value chain. You are clubbing everything in the factory environment and dispatching to multiple sites. And then you are monitoring your progress at the site. So on the site, only the erection of these components will happen. That is, you are assembling these components like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, and in this particular approach, you can definitely manage all the items digitally through vertical integration, and the supply chain could also be managed, and the final building would be of a quality in nature with less amount of long-term maintenance cost. So just going at a micro level, how this entire functioning will happen in future. So developer chooses the entire designs from a specific component or a suite of options available. Then, as I mentioned, developers will contract with one turnkey supplier integrated with R&D, supply chain and assembly management. Constructions will be products manufactured in the factory and branded products in-house. So this is just a flowchart at a micro level that after in-house construction will happen, it will be dispatched to the site, and then you can also have autonomous machines at the site location to monitor the erection at the site and manage the site, which is prefabricated. Here the flowchart is very simple. Manufacturing of material components and equipments, off-site manufacturing, supply chain and logistics coordination, assembly, and then you get the final building. In 15 years, there will be no such thing as a construction industry as it is today. Mechanical assembly industry would start evolving the way cars are manufactured by car industry today. So people will focus more on operational planning, how fast you have to manufacture the components of the buildings such as staircase, landing, mid-landing, columns, beams, slabs, etc. How to procure the entire material in a cost-effective way. Then they could also give you a warranty and service repair because everything is manufactured in the factory. Then there would be lead time, the way you order your products online today on Amazon. You can order your entire house online, and then let's say within a month's time, your complete house will be erected on your site and it will be delivered. And a lot of high level of automation will take place in the factory for production of beams, columns, and so on. Currently also in the precast factories, wherever offsite construction is happening, I'll show you up to what extent the automation is happening. Let me tell you, today itself, thousands of softwares are available in the construction industry for smallest task. But you can say these are fragmented softwares. Some softwares are meant for planning, some softwares are meant for design, some softwares are used for building, some softwares are used after the building is constructed for operations, maintenance, and monitoring of the building or structures. But gradually over the period of time, these softwares would also be interconnected in the supply chain. Right now, yes, I would say 5 to 10% of these softwares are also interconnected, but not all of them. Some softwares are highly specialized and they work independently. So digitization and the softwares that you see on this particular slide have been developed in the past 1 decade. In the past 10 years, enormous amount of softwares have evolved in the construction field. So you can just note some of the softwares used for construction industry. Now, industry leaders expect shifts to occur in short term. Short term in the sense, probably 1 to 5 years, and long term probably next 20 to 30 or 40 years. If you notice, Tesla has recently developed some tiles for roofing which are also capable to capture the solar light and transform it into solar energy. So several such innovations are taking place globally. So these are also sustainable in nature. Investment in technology and facilities are also increasing. Then customer-centric thought process has evolved over the last few years and a decade. Product-based approach, as I mentioned, for offsite construction, product-based approach is a must. You have to design column, beam like a product for a house. So column and beam or slab or staircase, these are just small components which are assembled at the site to make a product called as a residential building, commercial building, or a small villa or a hospital or so on. So, product-based approach have evolved in shipbuilding, in commercial aircraft and manufacturing, in agriculture sector, and in car manufacturing sector. So all these industries have shifted to offsite construction. In the same way, on all these parameters, the construction industry is drastically going to shift. Because project-based manufacturing of complex products with high demand on customization is highly inefficient. So first main change wave of industrialization is going to take place in this coming 20-25 years. As lot of major companies such as Langurook, L&T in India, Katera, and several other companies have changed their mindset to product-based approach. And they're investing heavily in human resources. So these are the sequences of shifts similarly happening in comparable industries along with the construction industry to follow. Across industries, winners continue to heavily invest in technology, many with a focus on digitalization and data-driven products and services. Now, just for you to understand how commercially the entire supply chain is going to be affected. So value pools are fragmented across the value chain and profitability levels are low right now. But drastically the construction industry would be controlled using a lot of softwares, and this is the distribution of profit margins between them. Then under that, the design and engineering will take place. Software will play a pivotal role in monitoring the production of the components in the factory and tracking its logistics, erection at the site, and long-term maintenance, and so on. So these are the revenues which are expected over the period of next 10 years or so. So currently, a lot of small scale players, apart from large groups that I've highlighted, are involved and play a very important role in the construction industry across the world. So you can see the revenues of top 10 average players and each average small scale player contributing in the construction industry. So the difference is huge, of the order of 100 times and more. Hence, the revenue sharing is not even between them. But there are minor regional differences in value added per chain amongst regions and countries across the world. So let's say Western countries have drastically used softwares in the current decade, whereas some of the countries like China are still evolving, including India. Just to give you a fair idea, let's say developer sits at the top of the value chain, where they can strongly influence how a fast disruption in other parts of the value chain can take place. Because developer will appoint contractor, design engineer, consultant to get the project done. So financially, if he is willing to change or disrupt the way his project is supposed to be built, then at a faster rate the innovation can happen in the construction industry. This is just a highlight of how the profit margins could increase for players that moves fast using technology in upcoming years. Now about almost like 250 billions in new profits are available for fast movers, because the demand is so high that if you're competent to complete the projects on time, even at a slightly higher cost, people are ready to pay you to get the job done. So drastically, the clock is ticking and players are appreciating people who are using advanced technology. I'm going to present to you a few case studies to showcase you how offsite construction or modular construction is taking place across the world in these days. So these are some of our upcoming projects. One such project is Kuwait International Airport. You can notice the same features in Mumbai International Airport. Let's say 70% of this airport is constructed in the factory environment. These columns that you see, these are prefabricated. made up of RCC, and these are pre-stressed piers. On top of it, again, you have a modular steel structure. These are some of the interiors of the airport. So you can correlate the column shapes, which are complicated in nature, still prefabricated because of the quantity of mass, which is not economical, and you cannot really control the quality if you're supposed to build these columns at site. So these columns are fabricated in the factory, and then they are finally erected at the site location. So this is the final location of the column erected at the site. You can see multiple columns quickly erected at site. So this entire project will be completed and operational within a span of just 5 years. So just imagine how fast the contractor has to move in terms of construction. Keeping these aspects in mind, the designers have to design the building so that the buildings could be built at a faster rate. There is no other option but making these buildings or structures in the factory. The second case study is for a G+8-story building, Yenapoya University, which is located in Mangalore in Karnataka. Within a span of just 5 months, this complete building was constructed. So when we speak, this raft is being laid in the month of December. In the month of June, this complete building was constructed. So the ground floor is parking. This building was, the slabs are being fabricated at the factory. You can see this is the image of a precast factory. This is called as off-site construction, where the components are manufactured. This is called as a hollow core slab. In the next photograph, you can see the wall panels being fabricated in the factory. You can also have the designs, architectural features on the wall panels. This technology is called as a graphic concrete technology, using which you can have designs on your wall panels. These are wall panels which are fabricated and kept in the factory. Then these wall panels or components are transported at the site using low bed trailers. They can typically transport up to 60-70 tons also, but typically 25 to 30 tons is quite normal. You can easily transport. These components, I would say, I'm not differentiating between a component, whether it is a wall panel, staircase, beam, slab. So these components are then erected at the site. This is how it is erected using mobile cranes and tower cranes. You can see the building being erected, and parallelly the doors, windows, finishes are going on at a lower level. Here in between, whatever wall panels you see, these are textured wall panels using graphic concrete technology. In the month of May, the complete building is erected. Total 100 apartments, 1 lakh square feet project size. And there is no putty required, plaster required. Directly on this finished wall panels, primer and paint is applied. So this is the actual photograph from the site. These are some of the key points from the foundation till the terrace with water tank, everything. Chhajjas are also in precast. The complete project was completed in 5 months. 100 apartments, 1 lakh square feet, 8-story building. We have designed more than 30 million square feet of projects across India. Even the tallest building in India is designed by us in precast, which is 24-story tall. It is built in Noida, which is seismic zone 4. In the last 10 years, I would say India has progressed a lot when it comes to construction, which is taking place off-site in India. Recently, we are also doing a project in Hyderabad for Microsoft for their ongoing campus, which is again 1.5 million square feet in precast. Just a small example so that you can appreciate the modular construction or precast. A small villa of 450 square feet was constructed by us in precast in just 3 hours. Have a look. So we excavated the land. The pedestals or footing was done in precast. This is a small layout of this villa. 1 bedroom, hall and kitchen. The ground slab was just put in precast, on top of which you can directly do the tiling. Then these are the panels which are casted nearby the site, which is being lifted by the mobile crane. You can see the entire team is erecting the component. This is the slab panel. Slab is being erected. It is lowered at the junction. This complete villa is erected. You can see the timing which is recorded in 2.5 hours. Roughly in 2.5 hours, a project of this scale and size could be erected. I agree that the painting, interior finishes, connections of these particular panels using grout, would take another 30 days of time. No doubt about it. But just see, the structure is erected in just a short span of 2.5 hours. This is the beauty of off-site construction. In such a short span, your building comes out beautifully on the site. So these were some of the case studies. There are a lot more, but within such a short span, I thought of presenting these small variety of projects. Now, transformation will take time, definitely. But COVID-19 crisis has definitely accelerated this change. Because these days, people would think a lot before relocating. They would prefer to be at their hometown. So local resources, local human resources, local material would be highly in demand, and even the labor challenges have increased these days. So off-site construction is not only the solution, but it is the need of the hour today. Many players believe that the construction industry is ripe for disruption, because construction industry will change radically in coming 20 years. The way the buildings are built, the way the buildings are managed, the maintenance of the buildings, and the operational smart changes that are required today are highly in demand by the customers. because it is a real thought that we are building or constructing the same way we were doing since last 200 years. Assumptions are changing that will drive demand for automation, ownership, scalability and speed, and the very high demand for need for zero carbon emissions. There are emerging indications that permanent modular construction is taking off in North America. Just study the Singapore market. The government of Singapore has made mandatory 85% construction in Singapore is happening on site, off site and modular. Singapore government has made mandatory for 85% of the projects to be made in the factory. R&D spending in the construction industry has increased faster than the rest of the economy. Because in the last 100 years, we have not seen sudden disruption in construction. In the last 10 years, this R&D cost has shooted up. People are doing R&D in construction like anything. Among the top 10 contractors globally, international revenues have increased faster than domestic revenues. Just see the average revenue breakdown, domestic versus international, for top 10 contractors. So people have crossed their borders to approach people and contracting companies who are using smart tools, smart methods of construction and so on. For example, if you notice the Apple Cupertino campus, which is built right now, which is recently completed last year, you know, if you notice there, Steve Jobs theater that is built on the glass panels, the entire roof is made up of carbon fiber, lightweight carbon fiber. And the contractor was called from Dubai to build a building in USA. They've called the contractor from Dubai because he was one of the prominent contractors who was using or working on advanced materials. So they had no other choice. The span of that roof was probably 100 meters, you know. So you can just imagine that people who are working on advanced materials, advanced softwares, advanced technology, advanced designs, there are no territory boundaries for them. They can serve the entire world or global nations. As a result of COVID-19, do you believe the transformation of construction industry will accelerate, stay the same or slow down? So most of the people in the survey told that definitely it will accelerate. And the companies have increased their overall investments to adopt new technologies. These are the results from the surveys which was conducted by McKinsey and the industries. So new production technologies have evolved, digitization of the products, new materials have evolved, and then a lot of new marketing tools and softwares have evolved over the period of time. SEO and digital marketing have grown like anything in past few decades. Now people have realized that industry shifts will accelerate, and although internationalization and investment in people are expected to slow down because of COVID-19, but probably over the next decade, this would not be a restriction. So players who are affected and people who would be required to move quickly are contractors, developers, and design and engineering firm. They would be the leaders of the smart change. All players would be required to reinvent themselves, redefine the strategies and their business models. So just key summary of this particular presentation and approach is product-based approach, specialization, value chain integration, and customer-centric thought process. Customers to benefit out of this upcoming technology. Investment in technology has grown, investment in human resources have grown, and people have started working at international levels, crossing the territories and boundaries. What the entire industry would be required to do is transform and disrupt if you are supposed to win ahead. Build local know-how to overcome perceived regulatory barriers. Digital skills are drastically required by new human resources to stay competent and relevant in the construction industry. The industry believes that winning moves are centered on talent attraction and retention. So people are focused on keeping talented professionals in the domain. So overall summary is advancement of materials is required, digitization of the construction industry, project-based, product-based or off-site, delivery-based focus, skilled resources, and we see an enormous growth in the construction industry in the decades ahead. This is the futuristic chart. Industrialization of our construction. So we are looking towards a shift for off-site production. Now, from academic perspective, start thinking about new materials, lighter materials like carbon fiber, geopolymer, lightweight concrete, who can give the same performance currently what we are achieving through reinforced concrete structures. Then digitalization of products and processes, use of building information modeling, professional documentations of our designs, and building the entire project on digital platforms like virtual reality and so on. And new entrants are highly appreciated, new breed of players who are disrupting the current business models would eventually win, keeping in mind the future dynamic parameters which we have discussed so far. The future construction ecosystem will be radically different. This is the current construction ecosystem, and this is the future ecosystem wherein multiple projects are managed by the same factory, a product-based approach delivered to multiple sites, and highly efficient buildings are constructed. So this is our overall futuristic strategy based on design for manufacture and assembly, which we have discussed so far. And I would like to conclude our presentation And if you have any questions, I would be glad to address them and provide you the answers. Also, I would like to highlight that we are dedicated towards training human resources on advanced softwares that we are using in our current consulting firm. So you can visit onlineengineering.in and learn advanced softwares at a very nominal fee. Do visit them. You can visit our website to know about us, about our projects and what we do. And if you have any queries, if you want to learn, if you want to understand more about offsite construction or precast technology and what we do write to us at contact@slabc.com. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for a wonderful presentation.
Thank
Now
you.
I request to audience, if you have any queries, please raise your hand, or because I checked the chat box, I couldn't find any questions till now. So you can drop your questions in the chat box also. Also, the participants can ask the speaker if you have any queries, not an issue at all.
Please feel free to write any of your messages in the chat box.
Yeah, yes, there is a first question, sir. What are the challenges in precast construction? The question.
So right now in precast construction, very few, let's say, design engineers or academicians or know-how is very limited to few of the companies, and this needs to be developed right from the curriculum which the civil engineers are taught today. So a lot of advancements have happened. So we need to build up this entire ecosystem. Let's say today in India itself, more than 50 precast factories are there in the last 10 years. So we also require technical people with such a know-how who can design buildings considering offsite construction in mind. So this is one of the major challenge, but I think over the period of time, this is gradually, addressed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next question from Mr. Satai Prakash. What is the strength and economy aspects of this technology, as I'm late to join in this lecture?
So from economy aspects, I would say if you look at the entire building life cycle, let's say today the building is constructed, then after 10 years you'll have to repaint the building or some maintenance issues are there, etc. Talking about the complete life cycle of the building, buildings in precast or offsite construction is durable, earthquake resistant, wind resistant, because they are designed for that. We have designed almost a 24-story tall building also using that. So overall, 10 to 15% the cost is less compared to cast in situ buildings. And from strength perspective, it is far more durable because all the building components are built using M40 grade of concrete. Okay, so from that perspective, all the components are designed in a much more durable way, and these are 100% compacted, well cured in the factory. So for example, if you build these components on site, then manual curing is done. You do not have a track. Let's say this slab panel you have cured for 14 days or 21 days, how much amount of strength this slab or column or beam has achieved. It is very difficult to keep a track of it when it is a large scale project on site. But in the factory, all these components are very easily trackable. So these are highly compacted, cured in the factory, And in the photographs also, whatever I have shown you, you have never seen a honeycombing or such issues for these components. Whereas this is quite often happening for on-site construction, because there you are using needle vibrators. Whereas in offsite construction, offsite construction, within the molds itself, high frequency vibrator motors are attached. So all these components are highly compacted and cured in the factory. So these issues are addressed.
Okay, okay. Sir, the next question is, what were the major challenges during completion of the project within 5 months only?
Yeah. So within 5 months, when I'm saying it, the complete manpower was working day and day night in a 24-hour shift.
Okay.
Okay, so in 2 shifts, people were working definitely, or during the erection, in the production also. But I would say one of the major challenge which suddenly happened was a roadblock due to some road construction from Krishnagiri to Mangalore. These elements were supposed to be transported for 450 kilometers, but due to sudden road construction activity, we had to travel 750 kilometers to transport these building elements. This was another challenge which we faced.
Okay.
What are the drawbacks of precast? So drawbacks, I would say that let's say in terms of architectural features or aesthetic requirements, or in terms of architectural space planning, there could be certain requirements or design which needs to be followed keeping precast technology in mind.
Okay.
So your design restrictions would be there for a building when you need to do offsite manufacturing. That is what I would like to highlight. Apart from that, there is no other major drawback of this technology.
I think no more questions yet. Yeah, any more questions from the audience? Yeah, please raise your hand, or please drop your questions.
Sir, I have one small doubt. Uh, uh, like a normal building, we are using the brick, and in this precast building, we are 100% we are using the concrete. So what about the carbon footprint and emission point of view? It's a safe, or we have to like some because in India we don't have any limit for regarding the carbon footprint emission. So you have any correlation like normal building have this much carbon footprint and this
Yes.
precast
So
concrete
I would
building?
like to highlight this particular point, that this building you can compare with Maivan technology. So in Maivan, what is happening is the entire shuttering, you are repeating at every floor and you are casting the building at site. In Maivan also, all the wall panels are load bearing wall panels. So those wall panels we are in fact casting in the factory in precast technology. So this is also shear wall and slab load bearing structure. And here the wastage of reinforcement and concrete is very minimal, hardly 2 to 3%. So the wastage is very minimal because all the components are fabricated in the factory. So from wastage perspective, the carbon footprint is very less. But otherwise, if you compare this building, because I am not comparing this building with column and beam framing, that is a completely different framed structure. Here the framing itself is structural wall, load bearing walls and slab panels. So all the walls are shear walls, sir, here.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Sir, there are few more questions.
Yes.
Um, the the question, why there is not any significant change in construction method that we use now and that we used decades back. Sir,
Right.
why R&D is lacking when it comes to construction? This is the question.
Correct. So that is what this entire presentation was about, that we are lagging in the construction method, but which is drastically evolving. Now, currently we are also working on carbon fiber laminates in pre-engineered structures to reduce the size of the elements by wrapping the elements using carbon fibers and things like that. So gradually the construction technology is evolving. In last 10 years, I would say 50 lakh square feet of buildings have been built in India using offsite construction.
Oh.
Recently, you will see in all the government tenders also, they are mentioning precast technology.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to show you this PWD. Can you see the screen?
No, not yet, sir. We could yes, we could able to see the picture. Now
Yeah.
it is right. Yeah. Now
So this is a document from CPWD right now, wherein they have included, following technologies.
okay.
First is cast in situ, which is conventionally happening. Then you can see expanded polystyrene core panel system, which is again prefab. Light gauge steel frame structure, LGSF, which is again modular offsite. Industrialized 3S system using RCC precast, which is again offsite. Speed floor system, which is again offsite. GFRG panel building system. GFRG panel building system was recently built by IIT Chennai in their campus. 3-story structure, which is again offsite. Factory made fast track modular system, which is again offsite. Only first two are on site. Monolithic concrete using plastic aluminum formwork. From 8, 6 building technologies are off-site building technologies, which is using DFMA approach, designed for manufacture and assembly. So this is a recent document by Government of India, CPWD. Right, so this is how the construction is evolving. And as you said, R&D is lacking when it comes to construction. The reason is, for R&D, people are not pouring the money to attract the right talents. Because let's say, if a person is devoting or working as a R&D engineer full time, he requires a competent salary, right? A PhD holder from IIT or NIT who is having a work experience of 10 plus years and who is academically qualified to do R&D would certainly require a pay scale of almost 1.5 to 2 lakhs. Then only you can attract the right talent to do R&D on day-to-day basis. Because for him, R&D is just like a full-time job. But for a company, he is investing, a company or an entrepreneur is investing his money to see the results in future, which the results will come after 10 years. But he has to invest in R&D today. So this investment is lacking and the mindset of people is lacking, which is gradually evolving. As I've shown you in my slides, the investment in construction activities has increased over the past few decades. Companies like Amazon, Google, SoftBank have invested heavily in these R&D activities. So if you are a talented professional, if you feel that you have a substantially good idea and you would like to work or you would like to do R&D, you can approach these multinational companies, for disrupting the construction industry. I would move to the next question.
Yeah.
Why we are not using precast, prefab building in residential? So definitely we are using precast in residential buildings, and as I have shown you in my slides, this has gradually increased over the period of time in India also.
Okay.
Next
Uh,
question is, so how does the calculations for different structures vary for the ratio of reinforcement and concrete and other materials like asphalt? So definitely, you can refer IS codes, PCI codes, which are meant for prefabrication structures, which could address your calculations for offsite construction.
Nice response, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think let's wind up the session, sir.
Sure.
Yeah, I think no more questions from the participant.
Okay.
Let's move on to the vote of thanks. On behalf of organizing team, Department of Civil Engineering, I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Shabi Lokanwala, G Director, Slabs Private Limited from the industry for sparing his valuable time and sharing the useful informations in light of the new normal in the construction industry. I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to the director NIT Jalandhar as well as head of the department civil engineering NIT Jalandhar for their valuable support for such a wonderful webinar lecture. And without their support, this webinar wouldn't be possible. Also, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all the participants from various parts of India for listening the series for the grand success of this series. With this, I conclude the webinar lecture. I request all the participants to attend next lecture by Dr. Satish Chandra, Director CRRI, Delhi, which will be on 31st October, 11 a.m. Yeah, thank you all. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Yeah.